4 in total, yeah. Right, a minute early, but oh well. Right, watch out, right, it's not that good. It's not very accurate, so you're all in the firing lines down the road. Right, okay everyone, let's see, I might just shout. Is that loud enough for everyone if I'm like this? Okay, cool. Makes it a bit more difficult to hold a bucket, hold a microphone and throw a fish. So I might shout. If I am too quiet, just give me a shout and I'll turn that speaker on instead. Yeah, we'll just start with the Otter Talk then. So my name is Luke, so welcome to this afternoon's Otter Talk. But in front of me, hopefully now in the water, you've got Otto, which is short for Optimus Prime. I didn't name him. So don't attack me. Oh, you're there. You didn't go in the water at all, did you? Well done. So yeah, he's one of our male otters here at the centre. And we do have a couple more out on display. Down the end, you've got Jake, another quite old male. So you'll probably be able to see him later on. He does like to wait patiently for his feed. If you can't see him out, have a look in the little hut thing at the end. There's a window into his bedroom, so you'll be able to see him even if he's asleep. He doesn't seem to mind it though, so that's pretty lucky for us. Yeah, you can always see an otter pretty much because you can go inside his little hole, what we call an otter's home, and in there anyway. And the other enclosure just got to my right, your left, we do have another pair in there, or a pair in there. That's Bane, our male, and Morgan, our female. Now Morgan was just out, and by out I mean she was hiding underneath the tree, which is where she likes to hide. So you can see her at the moment. Hopefully if Otto leaves some food for her, I'll be able to give her some after the talk, but with how hungry he seems to be, not looking very good for Morgan. If that was a big bit, you can go and get that. Oh, fine. Now, all these otters out on display, they are a type of an otter called a European otter. You might hear them being Eurasian otters now. That's just because they've expanded their range from Europe into Western Asian too. They are sometimes called Eurasian, sometimes European. That is the same otter, and it's the only one we have here in Britain. And now they are a freshwater species of otter, and that means they have to return to fresh water to keep their fur in good working order. Although you do find them out in the sea a little way, usually just off the coast, that type of thing. So you do find them in the salt water, they have to return to fresh water to keep their fur basically from turning into beach hair for us. It's a lot more important than theirs, so in good condition than ours. So yeah, even when they're in the sea, they come back to fresh water all the time. Now they are a type of an animal as well called a mustelid, and hopefully you've already seen some more mustelids around the centre today, and if not, you're going into basically our mustelid talks all in a row, because we start with our otter. In a minute, after this one, sorry, it will be our pine marking talks, and then we've also got some other mustelids after that as well, and that means they're all members of the weasel family, which means our otters here very closely related to weasels, funnily enough, stoats as well, polecats, pine martins, badgers, and the American mink. Those are the 7 types of mustelids here in Britain, and we've also got all of them here at the centre as well. You are lazy. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to see quite a few of those here today if you haven't already. Being mustelids, they all have things in common with the other species, and one of those things is their long, slender bodies. Really useful for our otters like Otto here, because it means that he's, as you can see, pretty quick on land, but also he's very fast in the water. Very streamlined. It means that they can get up to about 13, 14, maybe 15 kilometres an hour in the water, which is plenty fast enough to go and catch their food. Also means that the fish swim past them, they can turn that body very easily, very agile and very acrobatic, and they're just very good at catching fish and swimming through the water. Other mustelids, it's good for different reasons. If you're a polecat, it's good for going underground and chasing rabbit. If you're a pine martin, it's good for going up into the tree. So that body shape is really, really useful for a lot of our mustelids for lots of different reasons. Right. Well done, buddy. Another thing they'll have in common, boys are bigger than the girls. If you do see Morgan on the other side, you'll see a bit of a size difference between her and her roommate. You'll see it as well with all the other mustelids too. If you see our polecat just around the corner, then you'll see a massive size difference between that and the fish. Three of them so yeah, boys and girls are different sizes. The last thing they'll have in common, and one reason we have to be very, very careful when we work with all these mustelids is the fact that they've all got locking jaws. It means that any one of these mustelids, once they bite down on something, whether it's our fingers or their prey, they can lock that jaw in place. Nothing you can do to get rid of them, basically. It could be 30 minutes to an hour before they decide to let go, and it hurts a lot. They've got one of the strongest sort of bite forces, pound for pound. So yeah, pretty nasty stuff. But what it does mean is that all these mustelids can catch prey that's a fair bit bigger than themselves. Weasels only being about this long or so will be able to catch a rabbit. Otters here able to catch herons that have been flying down. It wasn't very long ago, only a couple of months or so, that Otto caught his last heron, and we didn't see him for a few days after that, because that's enough food to keep him asleep for a few days. So yeah, very, very useful for all of our mustelids when it comes to hunting and catching their prey. These guys have lots of their own adaptations as well that the other mustelids don't always have. So one of them will be the webbed feet. You might be able to see as he sort of runs up and down in front of us. He does have webbed feet. They work just like flickers and getting through the water nice and quickly. A nice strong tail as well that just helps push him through the water even faster. So very quick when they get into that water. When they're in the water, they have to be able to find their prey. Living here in Britain, the water looks exactly like that. Not very easy to see from this locally, right? So I'll ask questions right at the end. Not very easy to see if you open your eyes. So we need a pair of goggles, and so do our otters. Luckily, they've already got a pair on. It's a second eyelid that's completely see-through, and what that means is that they work exactly like a pair of swimming goggles for us, allowing them to see underwater in water like this. However, otters are very clever, very adaptable, and they'll often come out whenever their prey's about. And this means a lot of otters will actually turn nocturnal, because that's when it's the easiest time to catch their food. Having a pair of goggles doesn't help you see in the dark, but what they do have is on their face a couple of sets of whiskers. Those whiskers are incredibly sensitive. They can pick up all the movements of the fish in the water, and they can work out how big a fish is, how fast it's moving, how many there are, and basically whether it's worth them wasting their time to catch. Very important for our otters. Very fast metabolism. They need about 25% of their own body weight fishing around. They need to make sure that the prey they're chasing is worth the time and worth the effort. So it's very, very useful. Now, living in Britain as well, the weather's already starting to change into drizzle, so these guys have to be able to survive in lots of different temperatures and lots of different weathers. And luckily their fur is incredible. They've got two layers of fur. One is short and thick, and one is long and thin. The short and thick one keeps them warm, the other layer of fur keeps them relatively dry when they go in the water. This means they're happy to swim in the middle of July, they're happy to swim in the middle of December. Our otters here, often their ponds will freeze over. All they need to do is find one hole in the ice, they jump through and then basically go swimming in it. They don't mind negative temperatures at all. Often when you've got two otters in one enclosure, one is ice skating on top, the other one chasing them from underneath. They love swimming even in the middle of winter. So having that fur is very, very important for our otters, and it seems to work pretty well. And that's why they have to return to that fresh water when they go in the salt water, just to make sure that fur stays in good condition, and to make sure that, they can basically survive whatever the weather. So very useful for these guys. The only other thing is that on the top of their heads, well not the only other thing, but one of the other things, on top of their heads you can see that's where all the openings are. The eyes, the ears, the nose, all on the top. Means they only have to put a very small part of their head out when they don't want to be seen, and they can have a little listen, have a little look, have a little smell, take another breath, and then disappear under the water. So really useful for these guys to have those openings on top of their heads. Now otters have, I'll answer a question right at the end. Now otters have historically done pretty well here in Britain. We used to have about 20,000 or so of them, and they used to be found all over. That however changed starting in the 1950s. We started using chemicals and pesticides on our farmland, and those chemicals basically found their way into the water systems. Now these didn't affect the otters themselves, but what they did affect was their prey. Like I said, they need an awful lot of food every day to survive, very fast metabolisms, and so once the fish disappeared, so did our otters. They went from, like I said, 20,000 of them all over to just being found right in the north of Scotland. There weren't very many left at all. On top of that, they have been hunted throughout a lot of our history. They're so good at catching fish that fishermen don't tend to really like them. They catch the fish before we can. So they've been hunted out of competition and prefer as well. But it was really those chemicals being used that were kind of the biggest issue for our otters. Now, luckily, things have since changed. So things have since changed. Those chemicals have left their water now, and the otters themselves are protected, so you can't go around punching them. And what this means is that they bounce back. Instead of being found right at the top of Scotland, so that's pretty good. And we've got around about 10,000 of them. They haven't found the never had to, so they're still at half their original number, but they are getting a lot better here in Britain. Now there are some parts of Britain as well where they're not going down again, sadly, due to pollution in the waterways again. So that's a real issue. But yeah, compared to where they were 50, 60 years ago, these guys are doing a lot better, which is really, really nice. Important to have these otters here. They're what we call an indicator species. Now this means that because they're at the top of their food chain, if you've got otters on your river, you know your river's healthy. The more otters you have, the more fish you must have, and therefore the healthier that waterway is. So really useful for us to know. Up and down these territories, these otters are going to be solitary, only coming together to breed, and their territory sizes do depend on the fish available to them. For the males, they will have a territory between 2 and 20 kilometres, so that can help you know exactly how healthy your ecosystems are. So they're really useful for us when it comes to gauging the rest of basically their food chains and their ecosystems. So really nice to have them. Like I said, they'll have a territory, and up and down that territory, they will have their homes, which are called holts. Now usually, these are usually just sort of burrowing underneath the roots of the trees on the riverbank. You can see a few trees around the edge of this pond here. That's where they dig out, that's where they move into. They move a load of vegetation from the sides and from the banks into there for their, basically for their bedding. And that's where they'll live alone until the breeding season. And when I say breeding season, I don't mean breeding season until they're very weird for a British mammal. They don't have a set breeding season. Most of the other young animals you see here today, you've seen are kittens, or Scottish wildcat kittens. If you see the young deer as well, born at the end of spring, beginning of summer. Very typical time for the mammals to have their young. But otters, they'll have their cubs any time of year, whereas the heat of summer or the middle of winter, they don't care, that's when they'll have their cubs. Now, like I said, they are solitary, so it's usually down to mum to do all of the work with the cubs, sadly, and that includes teaching them how to eat otters, what to eat, and most importantly, how to swim. Believe it or not, otters hate the water when they've just been born. They don't want to be near it, and they definitely don't want to be in it. Now this means that it takes a long time for them to teach their babies what to do. The way she teaches them to swim is by picking them up by the back of their neck and throwing them into the water. They will kick and scream and climb back out, at which point mum will immediately pick them up and throw them back in again. And she does this over and over again until her babies are basically there to just stay there. She's not going to let them go anywhere else. And then after a while they end up being a bit more at home in the water than they kind of do on land. And yeah, they end up spending about 50% of their time as an adult in the water. So yeah, they definitely end up preferring it once they get old enough. There's nothing left, you've literally eaten it, and that was supposed to be for the others as well. Yes. So yeah, amazing little animals really. One other crazy thing they can do, and I do not understand the science behind this, so please don't quiz me on it. But I don't know if anyone watched the Wild Isles, the Attenborough show for the British animals. In there was a shrew that could breathe underwater. Not breathe underwater, smell underwater. These guys can apparently do it too. They can blow a bubble out their nose, breathe it back in, and somehow smells get in it. So they can actually detect what's around them from smelling, even when they're underwater. Pretty incredible. But yeah, other than that, I will end the Otter talk there for today. Any questions, feel free to ask. The next talk is going to be just down that end of the centre.